David Perron didn't ease back into playoff hockey. He came back swinging. I'm Kevin. This is Sports Lab 100. Today's episode is Blue 7. David Perron. Perron's not just a good Blue. He's one of the strangest franchise fixtures they've ever had. He was drafted by St. Louis, traded away, brought back, lost again, then brought back again. Somehow, he was more essential the third time around than the first. This game is May 2nd, 2022, game one of the Western Conference first round. Blues at Wild at the Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Minnesota had the home ice, and they just finished 53-22-7 with 113 points. That set the franchise record for wins and points. Kirill Kaprizov had become a real superstar. Marc-Andre Fleury had arrived at the deadline. Their building was loud. Their season was real. And this was supposed to be the start of something bigger. The Blues weren't a normal third-place club. They went 49-22-11. They had 109 points and rolled into the postseason with a very deep offense. St. Louis had nine 20-goal scorers. 9. The Blues weren't just depending on one line or just one hot shooter. They could come at you in layers. Perron was one of those layers, but he was also something else. He was unfinished business. In 21, COVID kept him out of the playoffs while the Blues were swept by Colorado. So when he got another game won, he didn't treat it like routine. He treated it like repayment. Perron was born May 28, 1988 in Sherbrooke, Quebec. He's a right shot winger, listed around 6 foot, 202 pounds. He arrived in the NHL as a first-round pick, 26th overall in 2007 by St. Louis. Before that, Perron had taken a less polished route. He played Junior A, then exploded with the Lewiston Maniacs in the QMJHL, putting up 83 points in 70 regular season games and helping Lewiston win the league title. St. Louis drafted him, and he made the NHL at 19. Early Perron was skill and nerve. He had hands, edge, and just enough irritation in his game to make opponents want to do stupid things. Then came the hard part: injuries, a major concussion, trades, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, back to St. Louis. They lost him to expansion to Vegas. That's where he helped the Golden Knights become the instant contender. I don't like that much, but that's another story. Then again, back to St. Louis again, and that's the Perron thing. Most player careers are a straight line with a few bends. Perron's Blues career, it's a trilogy where the third movie is somehow the best one. Usually when a player leaves and comes back, it's nostalgia. With Perron, the return mattered. He helped the Blues win the 19 Stanley Cup, had 16 points in that playoff run, made the 2020 All-Star game, and in 21-22 still gave him 27 goals and 57 points in 67 games. So game one. The Wild came out with energy, and they got shots. They ended the night with 37 of them. But this wasn't a game where shot totals told the truth. St. Louis blocked lanes, clogged the middle, killed penalties, and waited for Minnesota to make mistakes that playoff teams shouldn't make. At 6:15 of the first period, the Blues got a power play. Ryan O'Reilly and Torrey Krug helped move the puck. Perron found space, and St. Louis had the first goal of the series. On the road, in a Wild building, no pun intended, against a team that spent 82 games earning home ice, the first goal isn't just a scoreboard event. It changes the feel of the room. At 15:56, Perron helped make it worse. Justin Falk and Perron assisted O'Reilly. Suddenly, it's 2-0 Blues before the first intermission. Minnesota barely got into the series, and they're already chasing. The second period's more frustration for the Wild. They hit posts, they missed chances. Ville Husso, making his first playoff start, handled the rest. Late in the period, another Blues power play. Krug and Braden Shen set up Perron, and Perron scored again. 2 power play goals, 3-0 St. Louis. At that point, the game had a shape. Minnesota, they were pressing. St. Louis was absorbing it, and Perron was punishing every leak. Then came 12:34 of the third. Brandon Saad and Krug helped create it. Perron finished it, and the hats came down in Minnesota. Not St. Louis, Minnesota. That's excellent. Perron finished with three goals and an assist. Krug had 3 assists. O'Reilly had 1 of each. Husso stopped all 37 shots, and the Blues won 4-0, stole home ice right away. And that was the series. Well, not really. Obviously not. This is hockey. It never lets you have the clean version for free. After the game, the story was Perron's return to playoff life. He'd missed the previous postseason, and he didn't hide what that meant. He said it's been a long time coming, and added, "I have a lot of pride wearing the blue note." That's not complicated. It's the whole episode. Craig Berube pointed to the Blues' comfort on the road, and that showed up everywhere. They didn't look like a team surviving someone else's building. They looked like a team that had walked in with a plan and found out the plan worked. Husso's night mattered too. Jordan Binnington was the 2019 Cup goalie, but Husso got game 1 and his first playoff start and gave St. Louis a shutout. Afterward, he called it nice for a first playoff game and said the Blues were steady right away. That's the tone. They were calm, prepared, and irritating. Minnesota side had a more complicated read. Dean Evison saw chances and reasons to believe they'd be fine. He wasn't wrong to see the opportunity. The Wild had looks, but their special teams were a problem. And in playoff hockey, "we had looks" becomes a very cold sentence, no pun intended, when the other team's already up 1-0 in the series. The Wild answered hard. They won Game 2, 6-2, and Game 3, 5-1. Suddenly, Minnesota led the series 2-1. Game 1 looked less like a takeover and more like a warning shot. But the Blues adjusted. Binnington came back into the net. St. Louis won Game 4, 5-2. Then Vladimir Tarasenko detonated in Game 5 with a third-period hat trick. The Blues won 5-2 again, and in Game 6, St. Louis closed at 5-1. Minnesota's franchise record season ended in the first round. The Blues moved on to Colorado, and for a moment, that series had teeth. Perron scored twice in Game 2, so the Blues won in Denver, and St. Louis had a path. Then Binnington was injured in Game 3, the series tilted, and Colorado eventually won in 6. The Avs went on to win the Stanley Cup. The Blues didn't win to a fraud. They didn't lose to a fraud. They lost to the eventual champion. For Perron, this was the end of his third Blues stint. After the season, he signed with Detroit and gave the Red Wings 56 points in 22 and 23 and 47 more in 23-24. Then he signed with Ottawa in 24, later returned to Detroit at the 26 trade deadline. David Perron's career map is a circle with different jerseys on it. By then, he's over 1,200 games and over 800 points. It's not just longevity, it's perseverance. It's persistence with teeth. Perron's never been the fastest player. He doesn't have the cleanest story, and he's never been the easiest to summarize. But he just kept producing. He kept annoying people, kept coming back. In St. Louis, he kept mattering. Next up is Warrior 32. Jordan Poole, right here. April 16th, 2022, Game 1 against the Denver Nuggets. Steph Curry came back. The Warriors were supposed to get their dynasty restarted. And then Poole walked into his first playoff game and scored 30 points on 13 shots. Sometimes the future arrives politely. Sometimes it starts launching threes, like it owns the building. But that's next time. For now, this was Blue 7, David Perron. 3 goals, 1 assist, 1 stolen road opener, and a reminder that playoff hockey doesn't always belong to the biggest name. Sometimes it belongs to the guy who's been away, come back, left again, came back again, and still has one more problem to create for the other guys. I'm Kevin. This is Sports Lab 100. Stay kind to keep moving. And thanks for watching.